Me mama. Welcome to The Constant Struggle. I'm Nick Watson.
And I'm Brie Watson. And this is the Constant Struggle Podcast, a podcast where we like to talk about the struggles balancing life and art.
So I'm a right-orb and also a dad and a guy who has to work during the day to feed the family.
Yeah, and there's the balance that you're trying to achieve there, whereas I am a comedian who no longer has, although I do have, I was going to say no longer has like the proper day job, but have had to pick up a couple, real world gigs here and there to, make ends meet.
Yep, get those ends together.
And keep the cat alive.
Into the lifestyle to which she's accustomed.
It's true. I mean, I can't stop giving her temptations at this point. Anywho, this is episode number 78 of the podcast, of the Constant Struggle Podcast. And today we're going to be chatting with director and playwright, actor, improviser, among many. She wears many hats. Mom. She's a mom.
Yeah, that's a big hat.
That's the big hat. Because you can't just take that hat off. You know what I mean?
You have to get people around when you want to take
borrow
the
hat. Yeah. Yep. So we'll be talking to Evie momentarily. But before we get into that, Nick, why don't you let me know what's going on with your creative projects recently? Any updates? Anything new? Has the muse been reaching out to you recently?
No. So I've been doing some editing, but what's happened is my back went out this week. But then, I applied cold and hot to it and ibuprofen, and then I golfed the next day and was back on the pain pony after that. Then walked
Why
around
would you
Toronto.
Golf the day after you threw your back out?
I'd already booked it and I was able to move. We've got a new struggle to monitor, Brie. Physical health. This is something I don't think we ever talk about on the show.
We do sometimes. It depends on the person who we're talking to, I think.
Okay, so yeah, I'm adding to my struggle bucket. I got to make sure the vessel is in working condition.
That's true. I was actually talking to a few people about this recently. I think the change in weather, especially in this season, going from cold and then kind of hot and then cold again. Yeah. Like your muscles and your body's like, oh, it's nice. I can relax. And then it's like the next day it's snowing. You're like, yeah. Right, and it tightens up again. So I know like this time of year is a time of year where I will frequently get, neck pain or back pain or
any random pains will do.
Yeah.
All right, Brevis, so what are you up to?
It's been I'm about to go into a very busy time
of our lives.
La, 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 la. But this recently, it's been okay. I did have to audition multiple times for a commercial I inevitably didn't get. But I think in these circumstances, you're kind of like, I knew I wasn't going to get this, but why did you make me do this so many times? And it was for underpants. So it's just like, I'm so tired of having to take photos of me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're clearly, you know or you don't know, I think, when it comes to an underwear commercial.
I don't know. Maybe
but I also know like a bunch of other comedians who went out because there were like tons of different spots for this particular company. And I know other comedians who went out for it too. And I was like, what is it about you guys right now that thinks, comedians? That's the ultimate underwear bodies we're looking for.
Who wears underwear? Comedians do.
Comedians.
They keep talking about shitting their pants, so they must be wearing something.
Anyway, so that didn't work out, and that was fine. I was also like, anyway, I've been getting like, they're like, oh, it's close. They're checking your availability, so they're interested, but ultimately nothing. Anyway, ultimately not. There was one that was shooting in Uruguay, and I was like, I could go to Uruguay right now.
Look at this country, Brie.
I participated in, this has nothing to do with comedy or I don't know. I guess in a way it does. So one of the improvisers at Improv Niagara, Simon, is involved with, or at least maybe more so in the past. Now he's super busy, but he was involved volunteering for a local choir called Tomorrow's Voices. And there's a bunch of, it's like a kids choir.
I was going to say, is it the Children of the Future?
Yeah, that's right. It wouldn't make sense. If it's for the elderly, it would be Yesterday's Voices, probably.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they should change it to like Haunted Echoes.
Anyway, so they do a fundraiser, I guess, every year for this, where they bring in Alan Cross to run trivia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun to just, bug Alan Cross for an evening while he was trying to, make trivia happen.
He seems like a nice
trivia,
guy,
obviously, because it's Alan Cross.
Mm-hmm.
And Dan's actually really good at music trivia. So, like, the past 2 years, I feel like he's really carried our team.
Nice.
One was like, okay, this category is just drummers. We're like, oh fuck. And Dan's like, yes.
Got it.
So let's see. Other than that, well, I don't know. I guess that's it. Like, we picked our cast for the Fringe show that I'll be directing this summer. Whoa. So our rehearsals start next weekend. And I'm teaching at Second City and Improv Niagara coming up. So there's going to be lots of teaching happening. Lots of improv. And basically, like, May and June are going to be nuts. And then July, I'm going away for a bit. And then when I come back, it's going to be the Fringe. So I feel like the next 3 months are going to be nuts.
Okay. Ooh.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I get that impression after we're trying to schedule our next podcast.
Yeah. It's like, well, no, can't do that.
Yeah. Brie, it's another struggle.
Scheduling. Finding the right time to podcast. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's busy. It's like things are picking up again, right? We're ignoring the fact that COVID is still rampant, and we're I don't know. I guess not ignoring. I'll still wear a mask, and
yeah. I'm going to a Jays game tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
Hopefully, well, I guess they don't open the dome until later.
No. Anyway, yeah. So that'll be a thing. I'll wear a mask.
There you go. And apparently you could get free rapid tests at a bunch of places now. So that's good. I got a handful of them at Walmart the other day.
Oh, all right. That's cool.
And they give
That's
them,
really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's around, but there are things that you could do to
mitigate.
Exactly. Make sure you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think, Nick? Should we jump in and take a listen to I learned a lot anyway, whatever. I'm excited for people to hear about this episode because it was, or not hear about it, to hear this episode.
I agree. For a couple pod rights like ourselves.
We are pod rights. You'll get it in a second, guys. Just listen up. All right, here we go. Episode number 78 with Evie Jones in your ear holes. So Nick had a question right before we started recording, and you were going to answer it, and we were so excited. Nick asked the question again.
The question is, what's the deal with the spelling of playwright?
Okay, right. So, yes, this has frustrated me for a long time, and I figured it out. Not because I am by any means a smart individual who can figure those kinds of things out, but because I have access to Google. So, you know how there's a millwright?
Yeah.
And like a blacksmith, or like a
yeah.
Like a person is a right, like WRIGHT. It's like by trade they are a right of that, like a millwright, or I think millwright's the only example I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially it's the same, for playwright. You are a play, like
a person
fixer.
A person who does plays.
Fixer, right. But you just so happen to be, the writer of the plays. So I think at some point in the English language, they became like interchangeable, because as a playwright, by definition, I'm someone who writes plays, which is what we've accepted. However, I'm not someone who fixes like, so it's like, but anyways, but then when you're like, you know, I use that word so frequently that I use it in the present continuous tense, for example, playwriting. And I'm always wondering how to spell it. So of course, the only time you ever spell it with a GH is when you say playwright. I am a playwright, but other than that, spelling it like,
because right is I also have access to Google. Right in its WRIGHT is a maker or builder. So you are a play builder. For example. Yeah.
But I'm also the writer, you know, the person
That's
who
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Oh my God. I'm gonna start referring to myself as a book writer.
It just became like an interchangeable term, I guess. But yeah. So, and then when I'm submitting to different things, I'll say playwriting, and I don't spell it with a GH. I just spell it.
Because that's the act of writing a play.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh God.
Continuous tense.
We are often like, the English language is so natural.
Oh my God.
But if you're coming to learn this language, it's got to be so tough.
What if you're in the middle of putting on the show? Are you again playwriting?
Oh,
like you're not doing the writing.
Well, it depends on what kind of development you're in, because yes, you can, or the project you're working on, or the kind of contract you're working with, or the kind of production you're working with, because if you have, creative control and you're self-producing, you can be writing that play until opening night. Or even if you're in a certain contract where you're like in a development phase and a workshop phase, you can be doing another draft and another draft. So I guess it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ongoing back and forth between right and right process.
Yeah.
So Evie, tell us, how did you get into playwriting? We like to start at the beginning. How did you get involved in writing, in acting, in performance? What did that look like for you growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I think growing up, I was just a bit of a weird kid. Like, I really liked to make people laugh. It sort of was one of my ways of asking for attention, love, and so, but I would also, I would write from a very young age, like in my diary, and was the youngest, and I would retreat because my sister had a pretty big personality. And so I would go in my room and like write in my diary. I would write and as I got older, maybe like 11, 12, 13, I would like write about just all my thoughts and all my favorite music and all the boys I liked. But I always like wrote. And yeah, I grew up in Fonthill, which was, a pretty conservative place to grow up. And I had artistic parents. So I felt like I always felt a little like odd and different, like, well, my parents are this way, but no, when I go to school is this kind of like, I wanted culture, from a young age.
In Niagara region, it's not everywhere. Certainly not.
No, it's hard. It's tough. It's a tough go here.
Especially when we were growing up. I feel like it's getting way better.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I hope.
I mean, maybe not for Fonthill, but
you really got to work to find your happiness and to find where you fit, and like to figure out the balance of identity and self-expression, and it's not always the easiest.
Yeah, not as a kid either when you're growing up, but I do think it helped, like you mentioned, that you probably have it probably helped that you have artistic parents, and I know for a fact that you went to Yale Crosley, which was the artsy school in the region. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like I had artistic parents, and that was just like done. Like that was always supported, and my mom struggled and my dad struggled, and then my mom married a guy who struggled after my parents separated. Like they all just like, it was always like this thing of like, let's get out of this town.
Oh.
But they never did, and or they did, but it was always this feeling, this energy, this vibe of like, let's make shit. And so that was in me. And yeah, going to Crossley was great too, because Crossley was had a fantastic music program. I never really like went the music route, but I kind of did. It kind of leveled off in high school, but I definitely joined like the band and had, concert
what did you
band.
Play?
Yeah, I didn't know you were in a band.
I was in the marching band and the concert band.
Ooh, what did you play?
I played the tuba.
Oh, what? That's amazing.
Yeah, so I played the tuba because I wanted to learn how to read bass clef music.
Okay, yeah.
So, and I played the sousaphone, and yeah, we went down to Florida, we sold oranges and grapefruits to raise money to go down to Florida. And I was in grade 10, and I went down there, and like that was really great because I was like, yeah, I'm like marching in the band and like getting like Crossley was good. It was good. And Jennifer Benson, was my high school drama teacher, and Crossley had a fantastic drama program. So those things set me up, to be able to be like, this is not so foreign and strange. And this is something I can do and believe in myself to do. So I think going to Crossley in high school was really, really building those blocks towards artistic endeavors in life.
Awesome. And
I remember going on a school trip to E.L. Crossley because it was like, I think the artist who put the mural up was giving a talk or something.
Because that's a huge, big mural.
But the mural is great because the story behind that was either, I think it could be rumored, but I think it might be true. They could either choose between an indoor pool and that mural.
God, that sounds familiar.
And
it's so great. It's so great they went with the mural because it's like, yeah, that's Crossley. And also then people would be like, oh yeah, and the pool would have taken so much maintenance.
That's true.
So they went with the mural.
That's amazing. Like I also love that as an artist, you're like, yeah, they made the right choice. I'm also as an artist, I'm like, fuck, I would have rather gone swimming.
Right. Yeah, that's true. It would have been more fun and like more like opportunity to have shenanigans.
That's a good point. In high school pool shenanigans, those are the best kind. Okay, I love it. So after high school, where does little Evie go? Was it easy to pick where to go? Was it like I'm moving far away from this land?
I mean, yeah, eventually.
St. Catharines.
Eventually, yeah. Well, actually, that's true. I first went to St. Catharines. Yeah, it eventually became, I first went to St. Catharines, and what I would do is I would hang around the old NAC. So the Niagara Artist Center used to be where Liberty Bikes is.
Okay.
And so I would hang around there, and there was a company called Stray Theater. I think they're still around and kicking, but I just latched on to my friend Dawn Chrysler and sort of like said, what can I do? And I was obviously like stage management and assistant stage management and like swept the floors and like just, and then I went to Brock Drama School, for a bit. Like I was like, I'll go to university and I'll study theater, and I did 1 or 2 years there. So that was great. I had some great profs. But it just wasn't, I just was like, I gotta get out. So
this isn't far enough.
That's right. I thought, I'll transfer to one of the coasts.
I was gonna say Niagara College.
No. No, I'll transfer to Niagara College and I'll get some more. I'll get the real culture I'm looking for.
Welland.
I'll spread my wings to Welland.
Like, no one told Evie there's more to the world than the Niagara region. Weird.
Just wait, Nick.
I've been to Europe. That was Niagara Falls.
It was just Niagara Falls. It wasn't. There was just Europeans around there.
Lots of tourists. Yeah. From Europe.
Yeah. So I worked at a greenhouse one summer.
So did you, Nick?
I did.
Yeah, it's hard work, eh?
Yeah, it was, and very low paying.
Yeah, well, I remember. The summer. What happened was I was living in St. Catharines, but I moved back to my parents' house, so I wouldn't have to pay rent. And I
Same.
Yeah, and I worked at a greenhouse from like 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m.
Oh.
Whoa. I can't remember if that's how long my hours were, but I remember getting up before dawn to get over to Niagara on the Lake to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like the only Canadian guy working there. Everybody else was like migrant workers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was one of the only Canadian people working there as well. I mean, and they, were much more experienced and much better at the job.
Yeah. They worked way harder.
I just put it that way. I was like, oh, you're really good at that.
Like, so many lilies. I can't pick all of these.
Yeah. Like you can weed that. Like nobody, I was like, what am I doing here? But I need to save money. And what I had done was before that, I applied to the University of Victoria and Dalhousie University because they both had, decent drama programs. And to be honest, I really wanted to go like out west. And I thought that was for sure where I was going to go. But anyways, I got accepted to both. And then I flipped a coin. And I remember I did it on my lunch break one day in the lunchroom when I was working at this greenhouse, and it was Tails, and Tails was out east. So I just went to Nova Scotia, and that was really where I studied, where I just really started taking it more seriously, and through that a few other opportunities came about.
There is a great theater scene in Nova Scotia, or in Halifax, that's where Dal is, right? In Halifax?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halifax has a really great theater arts community and professional theater community specifically, but they also have, a really thriving and original music industry. And so, Nova Scotia and the Maritimes are great. And Halifax.
Ashley McIsaac?
No, I think it's the other guy. Oh, God. Through and through and through. What's his fucking name? So helpful. Joel Plaskett. There he is.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yeah. Drunk teenagers. Let's start a fight. Yeah. Well, I mean, and he's great. And that's the thing. Like Halifax is great for support. You have the Khyber. I think the Khyber on Barrington Street is not there anymore, or maybe it is, but that's where Joel Plaskett sort of hung around a lot, but everyone sort of knows everyone, right? And so it was good to be a Dalhousie theater student and to, weed my way into the professional community in Halifax. It's a beautiful city and community for a student to kind of go, oh, I can do this. It's the right size. It's the right people. And yeah, I feel really grateful that I went there because I was able to place myself in my own community, having come from artists, being my mom's daughter, I wanted to really have my own identity.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. Nick, you might not know this, but Evie, you could tell us a little bit about your mom.
Yeah. I mean, my mom, she ran a theater company here in Niagara all throughout my childhood, and she's an acting teacher and a playwright herself and an actor. And so she was pretty established in sort of the St. Catharines and kind of Toronto theater industries. when I was growing up, and she'd done some international travel with like her plays. And so, yeah, it was really important to me to not be the daughter of Stephanie Jones and to go sort theater out for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes, to me, it makes a lot of sense, because there are, there's a lot of people in the industry, in the biz, who are, I mean, especially in the States, that you see, actors who are getting in just because their parents are such and such, So I love that you went off and had your own educational journey and got to discover the East Coast, because it is a beautiful part of the country.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you in Halifax?
Just under 6 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
With a year of that, about a year and a half, just under a year and a half of that, I went overseas. So I guess.
Oh, where to?
Yeah, so I went overseas sort of the year before I was going to finish my undergrad, to go do a job in Italy, and I had a boyfriend in Spain.
Ooh la la!
So between like Italy and Spain, I was living in, there was an apartment in Spain, and then I would work in Italy, and so that was great. And then when we moved back again to Halifax, but I spent about just under a year and a half over in Italy and Spain.
Amazing. Do you speak Italian and or Spanish?
Sí. Yes. So Spanish is my second language, but I'm not fluent. Certainly, I would say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I could have called myself fluent, but I've been out of touch. But it is a second language that I can speak, and Italian as well. I can participate in Italian conversations.
Oh, cool.
So you came back. You're back in Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
And what happens then?
So I got my undergrad. I worked with a woman named Margot Dion, who is the most fabulous woman ever. She wore a Snuggie to rehearsal and danced down the catwalk. So she's just bananas town great. You have all these women, like all these like women that came before, right? Like I always identified so strongly with many female playwrights I met out east. Catherine Banks, who is a great friend of Colleen Murphy. This woman, Annie Valentina, who, she ran a company out east when I was there, and she was a strong role model. Margot Dion. So just all these people who came before, these women, female playwrights that I just identified with so heavily. I came back, finished my undergrad with Margot, and then just worked, did like act. I started out really as an actor. That was like what I thought I really wanted. And so worked in the Halifax professional theater industry, and kind of went from job to job. I taught a bit and moved around a little bit. And then I got a job with Mermaid Theatre of Nova Scotia. So I did some puppetry.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yes, I learned quite a bit about, my body and how it moves when I was puppeting, and how it moves, how I'm not coordinated. Like I learned about how my brain worked.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was that we're talking like big puppets here then, not just like
some were very small. Like I had a dragonfly that was like probably yeah. Do you know how dragonflies fly?
Fast.
Yeah, and also in squares.
I wish everybody could see you doing
this is great space work.
But yes, some were very big puppets. I was usually the butt. I was not quite strong enough to do the head of many puppets, but I was like the butt end of the humpback whale. I was the butt end of the caribou, and you're basically, your job is to just like
lumber back and forth. It looks like you're skiing very slowly.
Yeah.
and stare at the puppet like Like, don't look away from the puppet, you know. Your job as a puppeteer is in part to make yourself invisible.
Fair. Yeah.
Give over to the puppet.
Yeah. So that was fun. So, you know, and then I met my daughter's dad out there, and kind of found my way back here when I was having my daughter.
Okay. That's exciting. What's how okay. So you're back in Niagara. You've got a daughter. What does that look like when you come right back and you're trying to get back into the sort of artistic scene in Niagara, but now you're raising a little girl at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was hard. I think that was in retrospect, like when I look back now, that was pretty emotionally like difficult. Because I really truly did have quite a lot of momentum when I was living out there, and felt really good about where my career was going, and sort of just the artistry that I was able to practice. And you know, I think when I was pregnant, I thought, I'll be right back at it. I was 25, and I was like, I'll go home, and I know I'll get back into St. Kitts people. But
was the goal of coming back home to be kind of close to family? Was that the point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like I think, you know, I mean, I was living in a unwinterized cabin. You know, like I was doing a puppet tour and just, you know, rural,
living the dream.
Yeah, like really, like not like far from glamorous. So there was no, you know, like there was no real plan, and her father and I didn't know each other like that well. so straight up, so I, you know, I needed to come home.
Yeah.
I needed to finish off my pregnancy at home.
Like pregnancy as an artist must be interesting. There must be interesting journal articles about going through that process.
Yeah, well, I started writing again. Yeah, because I think, and now certainly now where I'm at, I'm very humbled and very happy with the amount of writing I've been able to accomplish over COVID, and just how much I know it's so clearly the path for me now. Like I'll still act and I'll still perform, but always underlying like my 20s, like all throughout my 20s, you know, there were these parts of me that were neglected, even though I practiced writing. I was much more about like being in the spotlight, and much more about like honing my craft as an actor. Now I want to retreat. I love writing. It's where I'm happiest. It's where I want to be the most. And so I couldn't imagine, you know, going back into hitting it hard, trying to be the best actor I could be, you know, because the writing was always underlying, sort of calling me to go tell stories.
And that, I think it must be, especially because you're writing plays now, it must be so helpful that you have all that training as an actor, because you can really create characters that you know how you want them to be portrayed. You know, that actor side of you will know exactly, like, this is what I want my actors to make of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot you're a director as well. I forgot. I should have mentioned that in the intro. Director.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's true though. Like, yeah, dialogue is. Yeah. Especially depending on the thing I'm thinking of, or the project I'm working on. I just want to write characters that I care about, and then that actors will thrive to sink their teeth into.
Yeah.
I love it. Nick, do you have questions at this point? I see you taking lots of notes.
Yeah, it's just part of the process, Brie. As a podcaster.
Yeah, you're the note taker. I try to be the more in the moment improvise. Nick's writer. I'm an improviser. This is how it works in the podcast too. Yeah.
But yeah, like getting back into things in Niagara was certainly interesting, and you know, I became a mom that like really actually just wanted to be away from the world for the first like year or two of her life anyways. So yeah, so I didn't know that was going to happen. So for like 2 years, you know, when she was little, I basically stayed at home and wrote, but then
perfect.
and that was good too, because it was like, oh, okay, yeah, it was like the beginnings of that. But I didn't know that was going to happen. I thought, it's just going to be like me, but with a baby, and it's just wrong. It's just wrong. It's just entirely the opposite of that. It's her, you know, and it's her life, and then I'm just in it.
But I mean, it makes sense, right? Like you want to give your everything to her, right? You created this little life. You want, you know, she's gonna need you. That makes sense.
But it like removes your ego. So like your whole life you're growing up and the world is you, right? And then when you have a little person that you have to keep alive, you notice like, oh, I'm not the most important. And then you realize that, oh, other people exist too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like the amount of love and empathy that came out of me for all other people and my child was...
It ruined horror movies for me for a while. Like I can't watch people get hurt.
Absolutely. Or children. You can't. Absolutely.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, no, same. I can totally relate to that. Like why? Like why would we, like why? It's like that is evil. So yeah, but it did, and that spilled into being an artist, because when you're a better human being, you're a better artist. And like it was so clear. Like the smoke was so clear. Like the first job I got as an actor after Daphne was born was I applied to be this company out of Toronto, Dopo Lavoro Teatrale, DLT. They do like site-specific theater, and they were holding auditions for In the Soil that year. And so I was like, okay, I'll audition for this. A 72-hour immersive theatrical experience with an Italian director named Daniele. Anyways, but my audition tape was like nothing I had ever done before. Like, I just didn't care. So I remember Daphne was sleeping. I used to, after she turned about 3 months old, she started sleeping like kind of more regularly throughout the night. And so I would smoke a little joint just to put myself to bed.
Right.
And so one night I just took my iPhone and I was like, I'm just going to riff as I'm smoking this joint about seeing an alien when I was 5 years old. Totally improvised, just off the cuff, talking about how I saw an alien when I was 5 years old and my childhood friend got abducted. And my audition, and that was it. And I thought, oh, they're not gonna, I don't know. And then they were like, we want you.
We want the alien lady.
Yeah, so it was cool because it does remove your ego, and it does. And I was like, oh yeah, and it was kind of like the beginning of like, yeah, more unpacking and not caring, and unpacking and not caring, and true artistry, true like being yourself, and whatever that means. You know, whatever that means, you're being true, and you're like, well, this is interesting. I'm gonna make this face like for a while, and then it's like, why is that interesting? Well, it's interesting because you think it's interesting as the artist. People watch when someone is committed.
Yes, I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between in improv. There's a big difference between when somebody is fully committed and somebody is kind of still scared, still hiding a little bit.
Yeah, we all go there with that person, and it, yeah.
Oh, I love that. So the In the Soil, how did that production go? That 72-hour.
Oh man, it was fucked. It was it was good because I was just like happy to be a part of something. But I mean, like, there were some people that were involved that were like not having any of it.
Oh no.
Yeah, because he really expected a lot of us as performers. Like, we were kind of like his puppets, but at the same time, like, he had a vision. And so I get it. And I think he like accomplished his vision. So from my perspective, I was just like, I'm a mom. I breastfeed nonstop. Daphne was like 8 months. And I said, I can only be here when I can be here, but I can do this thing and speak Italian and show up at this time. Like, but I was like, I was just happy to be a part of something. But he was, like, some friends that I know were like, what the hell is this? Like, the creative process.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess something so unique too has probably not been seen, certainly by a lot of the regular Niagara theater goers.
No, yeah, it was probably one of the first of its that, and it was right when site-specific theater was, I think, kind of pushing its way into
that big one in New York that sort of, I feel
Sleep
like
No More.
That's right. That's
and I mean, and that's Punch Drunk. Punch Drunk is obviously this massive company that produces like crazy site-specific theater. But these guys were trying to do that in their own way. Mm-hmm. So it was about Lily, like you're searching for Lily and you're looking for Lily and you go through all these different portals or whatever. And in the end, you kind of find out that you walk down Lily's funeral.
Oh dear God.
But it was like, so it was great and it was cool to be a part of, but it was also like, just like some of the actors were getting frustrated.
Oh no.
Maybe they were just tired.
72 hours. It's a long time. Yeah.
It's like, can we find Lily already? Like,
well, she's dead.
Oh my God, why are we
Spoiler
here?
alert. We're looking for her. She's not here.
Yeah, spoiler alert for everyone who's gonna go back in time.
Yeah, she's pieced out. There's no point in seeing that ugly mess that happened in St. Catharines.
but I guess importantly this is the project that sort of launched you back into working again after.
Yeah, it was, and it was it was a taste of what I wanted to be doing again, and that experience, I'd say, showed me a different type of artistry, like the artist I was going to be now that I was a mom, and now that I wasn't maybe as afraid as I'd been in the past, or as hard, like my work ethic has always been good, but I was approaching it from like a less serious way, I think. And I did my solo show next. I workshopped it, and that's a very personal show, but like I didn't really mind. I didn't I thought, I'm just gonna do my solo show, and I'm just gonna, so Daphne was 2 when I first workshopped that, and then worked bit by bit to reestablish myself here, as I realized her life and our life was going to be here in Niagara.
Nice. What is your most current project that you're working on? Because I would love to understand the process of putting on a play from kind of conception to, reality, I guess, conception to like putting it on stage. I know you're in the process. I think you just had was it a preview, or was that for a different project? Anyway, I'll ask you, what's your most current project that you're working on?
Yeah, so I'd say still the 2, but like I'm finishing up the final stages of my solo show right now. Okay. So like the development of that piece has sort of, it's been years and years, and now I'm finishing up. I'm really, really touching the final stages in what feels like complete. So that is actually pretty great. So in terms of like currently, tomorrow we go back into rehearsals for that. So that's tomorrow. And I got some Ontario Arts Council grants for that. So I'm able to like pay the right people and work with the people I want to work with. And so that is relevant, and that'll be pretty complete soon. The other thing I'm working on is my play called Ingrid's Dream. And so, yeah, I had a reading of it about a month ago, just under a month ago, which is a huge learning experience for me.
Is this like your first draft or second draft?
Oh, no. This would be the sixth draft.
Okay.
So I'm working on that. So right now that's like the next kind of bigger thing. Like that right now, because it's set in Maine, I have to create a version that is more culturally relevant to Canada.
Okay. Is that to meet requirements of your grant?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And also to just adhere or succumb to wanting to get a production in Canada. And so what that means for theater companies, they really want it to be maybe set in Canada. So from an artist standpoint right now, I'm grappling with that, but I do have like the two versions. And then the next phase of that will be more taking the meat and potatoes, like, okay, so we have this script and it's had a reading, and it's been like in so many different phases. Now we want to get a production. So the next thing would to workshop it professionally, which you'd have to write a grant for. Jeez. Yeah. And then get the production, and the production is from concept to reality through the Canada Council. So it is a process, but I don't always write grants.
Okay.
Sometimes I take shortcuts, and like this most recent reading I did, I raised money through selling wine and donations and paid the actors. And we did that, and now at least it's had a reading, which, so that's that.
Is the reading like a big kind of part of getting the thing made?
No, yes and no.
Okay.
But
is it like a table read or like a mock performance, and you're holding your scripts on stage?
It's a staged reading. So that it's really the purpose for this one for me was to have that experience as the playwright, to have an audience.
Oh, to see their reaction, to hear their reaction to it.
Yeah, and to hear it out loud, like to stage. Like I really needed that for my own process now. But I also have, I have a musician, a violin player. So yeah. So now that that's done, so we'll be kind of taking things and working on the music of that play. Cool. And then working on getting a professional workshop.
Okay.
And then a production. And we might skip the professional workshop, because it has been dramaturged by Judith Thompson, and so she's had a heavy hand in the script. So it might not need a workshop, but technically, usually it's like, you create research and creation, professional development, concept to reality. So the writing, the workshop, the production.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like, why am I doing this?
Until you're Norm Foster and you're just like spitting them out like every 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's bananas town.
That's such an incredible process, and I've personally I've not known anyone to well, maybe I do, but we've never sort of discussed the intricacies of it. So I find that really fascinating. And I should also mention to Nick and to the listeners that you have since gone back to school.
Oh yeah, yeah, but I'm done now.
Yeah, that's great. And what was that? What was that like? Because it was in the height of COVID, going back for a master's program.
Yeah, well, it was good because it kept me busy during COVID, and and I was able to do it from home. And again, brought me back into writing, like fully write, like really having the creative space to write and being supported in that. So I mean, yeah, like those things are really important to me now. But I was also able to provide for my daughter because it was a master's program. So I was on a scholarship and I was also a teaching assistant. So, you know, going back to school was a good move for me during COVID. I know I wouldn't have gone for like something else. I needed to just take my undergrad and get the master's.
Nice. What school was it? Did you go back to Brock or?
No, I went to Guelph.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm. So the University of Guelph, the School of English and Theater Studies. Yeah. So that was great. And it was also just wonderful to exercise like being a scholar. Like it's a privilege. And I sort of crave intellectual stimulation now.
Yeah. I guess also if you're at home with a young kid.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you know, I need to, I have to be able to
separate from Peppa Pig every once in a while.
Yeah. Oh, Peppa. What a brilliant little show.
Fucking hate that show.
What?
She's a bad influence.
Hot take.
Oh, that's interesting. So what is bad about it?
Just Peppa's attitude is shit.
I mean, Peppa, she's pretty spoiled.
Yeah. Privilege, all of it.
Yeah. And you know what? The only word that her brother says for like years is dinosaur. Dinosaur. And it's like, can he not? Like, surely by this point he can form other sentences.
I mean, he's a pork product, so he doesn't need long-term plans, I don't think. And his dad should learn how to shave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got us off track with Peppa Pig.
I'll bring us right back. Okay. I'm gonna go like, this is purely for me to learn, Brie. Crafty. So you said for Ingrid's Dream, you've gotten up to 6 drafts before you did the reading. Well, what does a draft look like? Is that a complete rebuild, or are they like an advanced pass? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, not a complete rebuild by any means. More just, I mean, it's like anything, like a piece of art. It's almost like you're never going to be.
Yeah. Am I done? Is it done now? Can someone tell me if this is freaking done?
Until you know that feeling. So I do think you have to know when to stop and when to, shut the door on picking apart. Because if I want to go in and do a draft, it could be an entirely different play. Most likely not. But you become obsessed with like, fixing. But there are certain things that need more work and more attention than other areas of the play. And so the draft is just an edit, like a scrap this, add this, put this here. And sometimes it's plot and sometimes it's dialogue and monologue and text. and I don't need to say that. That's an exposition line. Is that not pushing the story forward? Okay, it's not pushing the story forward, so cut it. Who cares? Who cares about that? Who cares about that? Like, am I repeating myself? Is this? So it's really about, from start to finish, the way I approach like a play now is that line pushing the story forward? And if it's not, it's got to go. And nice. And another thing is I always go into my drafts with like, what's the question of the play?
Nice. Yeah.
The play. Yeah. And if you can't narrow it down, fine, then pick 2 or 3, whatever. But there's these questions, and if they're not in the subtext of the dialogue and the characters, and if the question is not lingering around in the scene, then you need to fix that scene.
Almost like a thesis.
Kind of like, what, like you have to do something that makes sense action wise and realistically, unless you're writing an abstract play or what, but right. Something that still makes sense for actors to play truthfully. And then you kind of have to go, well, what is the question of my play, and is it alive in this scene? Ooh. And if it's not, then something needs work.
Nick, it looked like your head just spun.
Oh, I had a cramp and I was working it out. Sorry.
Okay. It looked like it was like a whoa.
No, I've been trying to do a little bit more exercise lately, and I'm just have weird pains showing up everywhere that I'm dealing with. Getting old is fun, kids. Just do all of the drugs so you don't have to feel anything.
Your kids listen to this podcast, Nick?
No.
How do you know?
Not at all.
For sure.
100%. Kids don't listen to podcasts at all.
They just watch YouTube.
Yeah, they do. That's all they do. That's what my kid's doing right now.
I mean, I'm not going to judge that. I watch YouTube all the time.
There you go.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like Wikipedia for your eyes. All right. So like for ages now, I know why I'm delaying it, because of fucking COVID. I've been wanting to go to Shakespeare in the Park, because that's basically the only theater I know of I could go to. So my question is like, where in either Toronto or Niagara Region is it good to take in theater? And tying that in with how you did your reading, and you said you were getting audience feedback. Where does that happen?
Well, so I'll start with my reading. So my reading happened at the NAC, so the Niagara Artist Center. So I did it in their back room and invited, a select few and had the support. So that's where my reading took place for that play, for Ingrid's Dream. So the NAC is a great resource. In terms of Niagara, I think the Essential Collective Theatre, they do Canadian contemporary work, and they foster new Canadian playwrights.
They norm foster it?
Yeah, they norm foster it. And so their work is really about supporting Niagara playwrights. So they're not bad. That's the company my mom founded, and they're still alive and kicking. I would say Suitcase and Point. So Suitcase and Point is a multi-arts company downtown St. Catharines, and they were, originally theater, and now they do all different kinds of things. They just did rhizomes. They have a residency for young artists. They also are the producers of the In the Soil Arts Festival. So that is all put together because of Deanna Jones and Suitcase and Point and all the people there.
Where are they getting staged? All throughout the region, or?
Well, there's St. Catharines has the PAC, like the Performing Arts Center, right? And so the small studio theater there.
Nick, I don't know if you've been there yet, but you've seen it, right? It's on St. Paul. It's this gigantic performing arts facility that's there now.
It looks like it's close to the arena, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, down the street.
So the pack, so the, you know, I mean, it's pretty
I know
expensive.
they got a theater, a movie theater and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have the film house in the bottom, and then they have like a studio space, the like Robertson Theater, which is where ECT, you know, works out of. Suitcase works out of, like, they don't really do main stage productions anymore, so they use the street, they use their green space. There's a space called the Robbie in the Folk Art Center. It's in the basement of the Folk Art Center. That's been used by a few collectives in the past, like Stolen Theater Collective. So there's these spaces, but other than that, I'd say Shaw right now. Yeah, Shaw, it's good. It's a strong employer for sure of artists. And you can get some cultural theater there. And then yeah, like even Hamilton has a pretty alive and well theater scene right now. Like Theater Aquarius is a main space in Hamilton that smaller companies rent to, you know, to do their shows there. And there's quite a lot of new Hamilton theater companies. I sometimes do my work at Camp Cataract, which basically just has a small stage, but it works for my purposes.
That's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Like Nick,
yeah,
I don't know
know
if you remember, but Evie put on a production of the Vagina Monologues and ran it at Camp Cataract.
Is that the one that you helped out at, or you?
I didn't help out. She cast
you
me
performed.
In it.
Yeah,
she cast me in it and brought out a very fun performance in me. I have to say, a very bold.
Yes, Brie had like a whipstick and used that wall with her like dominatrix whipping stick, and I was like, all right, like this is a great time. Like Brie was fantastic in that show.
You brought it out of me. Evie.
You were so good. Like it was
man.
so hard to follow.
But yeah, well, I brought him laughing, and then you had to bring him to like serious, heartfelt fears.
Yeah,
so,
baby,
not
the
fears,
baby time.
Yeah. Oh, it was so much fun. And then everybody was getting COVID throughout because we didn't know what it was yet. Anyway, good. Those were the good days. Okay, yeah. So we're back to the present time. Yes. So you mentioned a couple throughout the process. The life of an artist in general is going to be a little tricky, is going to come with different struggles. Is there anything right now that you're currently, up against struggle wise that, Yeah,
well, I think it's like this podcast is really timely for me. Like, I think it's good because we are coming out of, like, again, sort of the creative spaces that the lockdowns brought for me were really, really good for me as an artist. And, so I really, again, was finally able to truly write, and now I have a certain amount of confidence in doing so. So I want to keep writing, but what's happening with me is like inflation is rising, and my scholarship is done, and so I'm and I have a master's now, so I want to get paid like a certain amount of money, but it's tough because I'm really protective now of my writing and how much space and energy I give to that. So I do have to find a part-time job, and I'm actually going to go back to a part-time job I had years ago, which is good money, and I need to do it.
It's not the greenhouse, is it?
No.
Good.
Hell no. But I have to be really good with money, because I'm just gonna work there like 2 or 3 days a week, And then the rest of the time I'm going to write and I'm going to apply for my grants. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing because I'm so deeply afraid that I'm going to lose how far I've come.
Oh, I hear that is hitting me so hard. Yep. I hear that so much. Like there are so many like little things that I got better at during the pandemic because we weren't going out saving money, because we weren't eating out all the time, or drinking or whatever the case may be. Things like, even just like physical, exercise things and like you mentioned, different practices, that easily are, like your attention, now that we're allowed to go back out into the world, the attention is being pulled from many more directions than it could when you were stuck, inside.
Yeah. And so, so I think, it's a fear of like, I'm going to work and it's going to be a couple days a week and that's fine. But it's really like, other than that and my independent work and even like getting grants and going the direction I'm headed in and the space I need for writing, it's that, it's my child, and then it's that. And I can't imagine anything else. There's no room for like a romantic relationship. There's no room for anyone's shit. I can't take on anyone's other, I'm sorry, get out of my face.
Yeah. It sounds like you require now like a very intense focus on the sort of main elements that you want to sort of pour yourself into.
That's right. And I can't ignore that. It won't let me. So it's like, that's it. And doing improv every now and then is beautiful and amazing. And I need that. So that's lovely. But the rest is, it's intense and it's good because you can't say no to it, but that's the only thing there's space for. That's
also it. As challenging as it will be, I also there's something in me that feels like, oh, isn't it nice to have that and know that that's your focus? So I was always like, wouldn't it be great if I wanted to be a doctor? Because then I would just want to be a doctor, learn how to be a doctor, be a doctor. But, I don't want to be a doctor. And there's many other things that I want to do and can do, especially in comedy. But like to have that intense focus now that you're like, this is all I can do. Not even this is all I can do. This is all I want to do. And therefore, this is all I must do.
Yes, it is. It is a really good feeling. It's a feeling. It is a feeling.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. Yeah, but it's great. It is good to get there. I am grateful I've arrived there. I am grateful my daughter's at an age where I've arrived at this place with her in a good groove with me. Nice. She's 6, so she can make her own breakfast, and we're in such a routine, and so it's like we are, that is it. That is the focus. And there's no way I could ever possibly fail because of that feeling.
Ooh, I like that. I'm loving this.
My child is now coming in the room.
Oh, hello, Daphne.
Yeah, I'm almost done. Okay. Okay.
That's a good cue. That's a great cue. I was also going to say, what was I going to say a second ago? Oh, I'm loving this season for you,
Thanks. Yeah, it's good. And it's we're here to stay. But I think, if so many people, we're the lucky ones, where so many people do stuff that doesn't make them happy. And that's shit. That sucks. You got to just do you.
I love that.
Oh, I'm being scolded for saying the S word.
Uh-oh. That's poopy.
Pee-pee poo-poo.
Exactly. Well, Evie, this has been such a wonderful chat, and I'm so glad you took the time to talk to us today. I would love it. If anybody wants to find out more about your writing, find out more about your plays, find out more about you in general, where should we send them? Where should we direct them?
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be great. So I do have a website. It's www.genevievejoneswrites.com. And then a lot of my, like you can find a lot of information on there or contact me through there. Mm-hmm. Also, my Instagram is Evie Jones Writes.
Okay.
And my Instagram has a link tree or the link thing in my bio.
Those link trees. Love them.
And so all my links are there, like just a number of things I've done and been a part of. I think that's it for now.
We'll get all of that up on because we've got our show notes, so I'll make sure to put that up on our show notes so everybody can follow you.
Great.
And check out what you're working on. And so thank you so much for meeting us or chatting with us.
Well, thanks. It was my pleasure. This was a beautiful conversation. So thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well,
and informative too.
It was so informative. I
learned a lot.
Yes. Fantastic. Will you say struggle on with us to sort of mark the end of our little chat here?
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right.
So are we going to count?
We'll count. 3, 2, 1. Struggle
on.
Yay. Thanks, Evie.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Well, this has been episode 78 of the Constant Struggle podcast. For information about Evie Jones, check out our show notes at theconstantstruggle.podbean.com.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Good episode, Avery.
It was good. It was, Evie, Evie's one of the hardest working artists I know, so it's nice to hear that she's kind of finding her groove again.
Agreed. And it's yet another chill, fun, good vibes podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you liked this episode and if you found it helpful in particular, share it around. Maybe it'll help somebody else's journey. Maybe somebody who wants to write a play out there, or somebody's thinking about moving. Check out Halifax.
Or heck, even going to a play.
Yeah. How about go to a play? Go to a play. Yeah.
Get your culture on. So feel free to give us the old share, and subscribe to the Apple podcast at our podcast at Apple Podcasts, on Podbean and Google Podcasts and Good Pods.
Basically anywhere where you could get a podcast, you can.
Anywhere where fine podcasts are hurled upon the universe.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to stay in touch with our new episodes and everything coming and going, the Constant Struggle podcast, you can follow us on Twitter at StrugglePod. Oh, Nick, we haven't talked about whether or not we're going to let Elon Musk affect our Twitter presence.
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
We're monitoring the situation.
Okay. We've also, as we're doing as far as Zuckerberg is concerned with Facebook, because you can also follow our fan page of the Constant Struggle podcast on Facebook. So thanks again for listening, everybody.
And if those two get too dystopian, we could do that Wikipedia one.
There's a Wikipedia one now?
Yeah, there's a wiki version of social networking.
Oh, I didn't know that was. Well, I'm gonna have to look into it. Or we just send each other Snapchats.
Oh my God! No, I'm not doing the funny dances.
That's a TikTok.
Okay, I'm not doing that either.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next month. And
struggle on.